I just like that. I'm weird that way.
I love it. Hey, everybody. Joe is trying to
everybody.
fix his sound. He could not hear us, but we could hear him and we could hear each other. So he's rolled the intro so we can go ahead and.
So it's Elaine and Clyde show. It's Elaine and Clyde show. It's Elaine and Clyde show.
So let's see who we got in the comments here. We got Donna. Hi, Donna.
Hey, Donna. Hey, Carl.
And
I think that's it for now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to the show. And so, what kind of week have you had? You were telling me that you got a bunch of your mail stuff. You gotta talk up the post office now because you shamed them, and now they've come through for you.
Yeah, it's like I made them look really bad. So they're like, okay, fine. We will. Because it's funny. Usually, the post office, if I have stuff coming, it either doesn't come at all or it comes like super duper late. Mm-hmm. And today, my postal delivery, 3 packages showed up at 11:30 in the morning. And I actually looked at the clock and I'm like, it's 11:30 in the morning. Courtney's like, yeah. I'm like, we don't never get mail this early. So we got that. And then at 2:30, the little organizer thing came. And then around just before 4, the big box with the drafting table and the little thingy came. And oh, that was fun getting it upstairs. Hey, Joe, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. It was just a matter of restarting my laptop here because the sound drivers went bad.
Oh, yeah. So, I get that. I'm racing against time to rebuild my desktop because
we should have planned this better, Elaine. We could have been like, when he comes on, let's do this.
Next time,
Joe. And then he'd be like, wait a minute, I heard you for a second there.
So anyway, yeah. So all of my deliveries came. And like I said, just about everything I ordered from Amazon, except for this one mouse pad that was all scheduled to come yesterday, came today. And it was UPS, Postal Service, and FedEx. And I was like, dang, the universe is being nice to me. Something bad must be coming.
You put the third job in all of them.
I'm about to say, what did you break?
Well, I still have to get everything built. And unfortunately, the organizer and the drafting table aren't a one-person building thing. So that means I got to drag my oldest and go, come on, boy, we got to build the stuff. And then take my old drafting table and toss it. It's not, I was going to keep it for my youngest, but the little drawer fell out of it. And I'm afraid of what else might fall apart on it. So I'm just like, I just don't want to chance that, because if he got hurt, I just don't want to chance it. So it's like, yeah, so we're going to toss this and then start building, which is why we didn't do it today, but it cost me, and luckily it wasn't too expensive. It only cost me like half a pound of spinach dip and some chips. So yeah, he works very cheap.
Carl's waiting on cigars, he says, from UPS or USPS.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I came across something the other day. It was a graphic from the past. I was just sorting through stuff, and it was the cigar show, Ted and Carl's cigar show. I missed that show. That was a lot of fun. So you were fondly remembered the other day, Carl, for some of the past programming that you were in charge of.
I also turned 64 yesterday.
Happy birthday. Yes.
I is so old, Methuselah calls me ma'am. I am so old, I babysat the crypt keeper. Come on, give me some old jokes, guys. Come on.
You don't want me to do it because you would get mad.
Probably. And I know where you live, so.
Yeah. I'll lay some on you like, You're so old that you remember dirt when it was just dust.
Oh my
Remember
goodness.
dirt when it was fresh. Yeah, this is newly minted dirt. Now it's old.
That was a big
Yeah.
old pile. It gathered and it multiplied and all of that. I remember when it was just this speck of dust. I didn't have my duster at the time. I say, oh, I just leave it. I turned around. I'm 64 years later. I was like, oh my goodness, here's this 6 foot stack of dirt. Where did it come from?
Donna, I'm the oldest on camera. Well, let's put
Yeah,
it that way. I'm the oldest on camera.
yeah. Yeah, and I remember when the sundials went digital. It was quite a thing.
Remember when you could take a sundial, miniaturize it, and wear it on your wrist?
That's
I
right.
think the first person I ever saw do that
Yeah.
was the dude named Fred Flintstone.
I tell people I'm not as old as rocks, Carl says, but I was on the naming committee. And Donna outdoes us all here. She gives her age as being older than all of us, so individually. Not
Yes.
collectively, but individually.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's been an interesting week. I went and got my eye exam done yesterday, and I have cataracts, but they're very mild. And so he said I didn't they don't need to have anything done to them. It's like that's good because I ain't got that kind of money. So I'm actually thinking working on the studio has got me to the point if I want to do it, I ain't got that money segment for everybody who wants to get something done but ain't got that kind of money. It's like
Donna brings up a good point. She says, I'm proud to say I'm that old because several times I almost didn't make it. And I
Yep.
think, whenever I complain about an ache or pain, or I'm thinking, there's a lot of people I've known that would be happy to have made it this far. So that's true, Donna. Very true.
I was the Who's talking about my generation was playing on my music thingy, my Amazon Music yesterday, and there's that line he says, "I hope I die before I get old," and those guys are like they're older than me. They're older than me and Donna.
Mhm.
And I wish I could walk up to those guys and go, "Still, you still living by that? Because if so, I'm gonna dig you a hole." you know, 'cause are you still in there? I hope I die before I get older. Have you shifted what old means? It's I just can't. And there, I think the Who were still touring, so I just can't see them singing that song.
Hmm.
Or if they do, they have to change that lyric because it's like because it's like the minute you get to that lyric, half the audience falls over laughing.
Mhm.
Or everybody in the audience falls over laughing, half of them not for the right reason.
When somebody that is your great grandpa's age is talking about how he wants to really just you know lay you
Oh my
down and have his way with you, it can be creepy, I would think, at a certain point.
It can be very creepy.
Yeah. So
No. But
not everything ages like wine, like fine wine, as far as the song lyrics go.
but it was interesting listening to the song because I hear so many boomers. We've now got to the point where our parents and grandparents were at when we were coming up listening to this music and singing the lyrics and whatnot, and they were looking at us like, child, please, you've got no idea. And it's like, nah, we know better. Now we've hit this point, it's like, oh shoot.
So I saw a good meme this week on aging. It's got old folk, how to start an argument in an old folks home. and they got one of the old, and it's a whole like cafeteria full of older people, and one of them's like, "Who wants to play second edition D&D? I only play the original. No, Traveler was best. Oh no, it's got to be all the different role play games from the
Oh,
past.
that came,
It's
yeah.
gotta be Shadowrun or nothing. Oh no, I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've forgotten that. All the BattleTech based games that were out.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Those were I actually had a boyfriend who that's how he was sort of my introduction to TTRPG, because he and a friend used to play a variation of the BattleTech game. And so they wouldn't let me play, but they were, because I would go, okay, because I was sitting there with the player's handbook and I'm like, okay, what's that? Who's that supposed to be? What does that do? And they were like, give us the back of that book, okay? You know? It was one of those, just sit there and look cute. It's like, ha, remember that tonight.
And look at you now. It's like, I teach you something.
I'm wearing my carpal tunnel gloves today. I've had to do too much. I've just been really busy with stuff the last few days, and so I'm hearing. Oh no!
Holy Carl.
Yeah,
Holy
Carl.
Holy cow.
I was looking over some game notes the other day that we had a superhero role play game weekly when Ginny and I got married. So that would have been like 84, 85 when we were playing it. And
Okay.
and it was set in the future though. And the future was 2015. And all the different things that, so it had things that had come to pass, and there were some that you're like, well, that was really prescient. That was pretty on the money. And then other things, it's like, no, that is nothing, nowhere close to real. But 2015 was that far off date.
Yeah.
Shooting for.
I was about to say the movies like what was it, Logan's Run, wasn't set too far from now.
Yeah.
I think it, so when you think about movies like Logan's Run and
Soylent Green.
Soylent, oh my goodness, Soylent Green. And they now have these things like all these drink mixes for you. And it's interesting because this one that everybody on YouTube is pushing, or a lot of people on YouTube are pushing, called AG1, it's green. And every time I see it, all I can think is Soylent Green is people, and half of these, because I'm thinking, for all the stuff that they say this stuff has in it, and it's one little scoop in your water, I'm like, how do you know that what they say in that stuff is actually what's in that stuff? How do you know? Did you go to some independent somebody in 2001: A Space Odyssey? Oh my goodness, we are overdue.
I won't bring up the one that I just thought about because I don't know the actual year, and that would be the Jetsons.
Ooh,
Because we don't have flying cars as of yet.
No, and it's funny about the Jetsons because the aesthetic is definitely 1950s space age inspired stuff, if you think about the aesthetics. But I think it's supposed to be it's supposed to be either the 2020s or the 2030s.
So we're here and we don't
have them flying cars yet.
We're not living in apartments that's in the sky as of yet.
Or better yet, apartments in the sky that when the air quality is bad, you push a button and your apartment gets raised above it.
I saw some kind of an article. I didn't dig into it, so I'm not sure how accurate, but it showed a young guy in Switzerland, I think, that had taken a heavy duty drone, and converted it and powered it up enough that it could carry a 170-pound person, which he was under that. So he was in it and just kind of floating along, So again, I'm not sure how accurate it is, but they do have, they've been working on drones that can deliver packages and stuff. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility, I guess. But
I
I
would
don't
get
know. At one time, the FFA would have had to, or the FAA would have had to approved all of it. But now, with it being all deregulated, we could probably just fly around all we wanted to and crash into stuff. And
I would be in so much trouble because I would like scoop up a bunch of women between like 40 and 72. And we'd have, like a motorcycle game, but it's a bunch of over 40 women with the drums.
the Gray Panther drone gang is back. Run!
Make them look like remember the old Harley Hogs? Make them look like Harley Hogs, dress up like a bunch of, just like hippie motorcyclists, one hand on, yeah, baby, riding through the hood, blasting classical music.
I'm just sitting up here. Y'all made me think about Sons of Anarchy. Drone style. Drone style Sons of Anarchy. It's like, oh yeah, we're nothing more than a drone club, but behind the scenes, y'all into just about any type of thing. And then that's like, next thing you know, here comes some special investigator talking about there's a Rico, and we need to find out more about Elaine, about what she's really doing.
Carl just gave me the best name for my group, the Valkyries.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And in fact, you wake up one morning, Joe, and you hear yo yo hoo. Just dig yourself a hole in the basement and cover yourself because we're coming for you.
No, I'm just thinking you just gave me the worst picture in my mind. Around Christmas time, Christmas Eve, it's like, the whole thing about towards the night before Christmas, instead of Santa Claus, you hear yo. Like, what happened? Well, everybody gets ransacked, and all you see is her gang taking all the presents. Like, it's hard. Yo, like, it's over.
They hit you with their chains. That didn't hurt very much. What kind of chains are those? Well, they're plastic because we can only carry 50 pounds of weight on here in addition to us. So we have to use the plastic chains. But we're coming back for another round.
It only stings because we're currently flying just fast enough where it's like 30 miles per hour, so it just stings. It's not good enough.
It doesn't hurt. But I would trick out one of those Nerf arrow shooters. Trick myself out like a something that looks like a what is it? A crossbow, but it shoots Nerf boats. Like on it. Yeah. Okay. Victim. Bam.
So George Jetson was supposedly born in July of 2022. So
okay.
So yeah, we're technically in Jetson's territory.
Well, we're because George would be, what is it?
3.
He'd be 3. So we haven't got there yet because he's got to go to school and everything, get the job for Spacely Sprockets. And we haven't got a Spacely Sprockets yet.
Well, we got it out of that era because you have to think sprockets were past technology.
But the two big competitors were Spacey Sprockets and Cogs.
Cogs.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I am in so much trouble. We got and the popo has been all up in my hood this last week. Every other day, they're setting. What is it? A couple of weeks ago, they had garbage trucks on either side of 74th Street. And the popo was parked, and they had garbage trucks so nobody could come down there.
Soylent Green, I'm telling you.
They got to do something with all the migrants they're snatching up, especially since, the countries they were supposed to be sending them to won't take them back anymore, depending on how they get there. It's like, hey, if they're not fresh, we can't take them if they ain't fresh. These look slightly used and abused.
I don't know as of yet, but we've already been seeing the reopening of Guantanamo Bay.
Oh yeah, that just like they've reopened Guantanamo, and then there's another place that they just reopened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's be safe, my friends. Be careful out there. Don't if you're a native Spanish speaker, just speak the English, because it's just not safe right now.
Hmm.
You know, I'm actually thinking of learning Sanskrit just to freak them out.
The Fantastic Four trailer, I saw a lot of articles this week that compared it. We were talking about the Jetsons, and
Mhm.
saying that it has a very Jetsons flavor about it, and it really does. The way that they
Yeah.
show in the cities and all, it does have that kind of a
If
vibe.
something akin to Rosie the Robot shows up, I say, if and I'm in a theater, oh my goodness, they're going to arrest me because I will stand up and scream.
Well, you want to be screaming because Herbie is in there.
Yeah, Herbie the Robot.
Herbie the
Oh.
robot is in there.
Yeah.
So that's like Rosie.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he's doing housework. He's fixing
He's-
food for them for
Oh,
their
that's right.
yeah.
He's making dinner because
Spaghetti.
everybody's got to be there at 5 o'clock sharp.
Seven,
Did you
7
7
o'clock on the dot.
on the dot? Did you finally get to see
Yeah.
it, Joe?
Mm-mm. Nope. I've been talking to somebody else about a different aspect of the trailer,
Mhm.
and we're on the same page as far as the trailer didn't affect people's buying habits, but it kind of goes to show you that as we get more and more comic book movies, people should not speculate on them.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm kind of I don't know if I want to go see it in the theater just because what it costs to go see a movie in the theaters nowadays, just for two people, you know. Um you can easily spend close to like around what, $80, 100 just for two people to go in and get like cheese and get like cheese fries with bacon and drinks.
Well, I was up
I
on the
got my
understanding.
taste. Okay, I got my taste. I don't need the popcorn, but I need my cheddar fries.
That's what I say. I'm not laughing at you as far as what you buying. I'm just up here laughing at, you know what? She's right, because I believe the average is about $60 if you just talk about tickets, popcorn, and a soda.
No, it's more than $16. Hell, the
60, 60,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
60.
Okay, I thought this was like no. If I'm lucky, I might get a senior's ticket for $16. If I'm lucky.
Because I'm up here, it's like, man, I wish I was back in like kind of like high school and college days, because we still had like the dollar show and $5 showings that we could still go to.
Oh,
Now
my
there's no such thing as that. It's like just to get into the theater now it's over 20.
Even before the pandemic, because I used to take before the Showplace Icon on Roosevelt closed. My youngest loved going there. And if we went on a Saturday morning, it was $5 a head.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved that, because it was okay, $5 a head to get there, get in, that's $10. Bus fare to and back, that's another 10, plus, popcorn, soda. So about $50.
Mhm.
I could take him to the movies, get him popcorn, soda, get a bus ride there and back, and be okay. Little early morning at the movies, he was happy. Excuse me, all that soda I'm drinking, the gas is trying to come out.
That's the
But
cheddar
now,
before.
but, but now it's like just to get
Holy cow. Holy cow.
yeah, just be careful what type of movie, girl. You don't want to have to get nobody's mama in your face.
Holy Carl. Well, it's true. He probably could get somebody for $60 at an iPhone to film him a movie.
Well, in Hollywood, that's kind of becoming. There are people who are, they are filming movies
Mhm.
on their phones, or they're redoing. It's interesting. I see a lot of. They're supposed to be trailers, but they're fan based trailers.
Hmm.
They're not real trailers, they're just fan trailers. Some of them are good enough and you have to really look at them to realize, okay, that's not a sequel. That's just something someone put together. Because
Yeah.
some of them are really getting really good. Only thing is um I don't think some of these kids realize that when you're doing that and even if you're not putting like Fox or whatever up there, the fact that you have that company's IP like
Mhm.
that, I would really hate to see some of these kids find out the hard way that, oh, you messing around with our IP, because there's a point where I'm sure some of them are like, that's pretty good. But I'm sure there's going to be a point where the studios are going to start going, nah, we need to clamp this down because this is getting just because like I said, I I actually had conversations with people where we were going back and forth. It's like, is that a real? No, that can't be real. Is that real?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some that were hard to figure out. You have to look real close, and then they'll mix in footage from, like, if they've released a teaser trailer, they'll put the teaser trailer stuff in there with it to make it really hard. But
Yeah.
or some of the things that appeared in other movies that relate to this. That, okay, like the MCU all connected. But
And these
um, I was
deep
just checking.
fakes.
Yeah, and I
Deep
was just
fakes.
checking our theater to see. 'Cause we have an AMC Classic, which means we're old and run down, and we're not fixing it. So, but it's still it's decent. It's not fancy. It's older,
People aren't
and
going to
they have.
bring your food to you if you order. There's
Oh
nobody to
no,
come bring your.
mm-mm.
Oh
No, no,
man.
no. And it's a Showplace 8, so it has 8 theaters. So for our area, that's not too bad. Um, and like, to go for a show tonight, it would be, for adults, it would be $10 a piece plus tax.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you and the missus can go in the balcony and snog.
we can't. Well, there's no balconies. There's 8 shows,
Well,
but
sit in the back and snog.
we could do that. Except right now we got so much flu going around.
Oh.
Everybody is so sick that
Oh
it's kind
man.
of, because we wanted to go see Captain America: Brave New World, but it's going to have to wait a little while because everybody we know is ill. Like my bus stop kids, I think I've had on average 2 of 8 on the stoop this week because everybody's sick. So
You call them your bus stop kids?
yeah, we have a bus stop in
Fine.
front of the house
Oh,
for the
okay. So they
schools.
sit there and have to wait. Yeah.
Yeah, and I go out there. They A few years ago they had started to come out, and they were older kids, but they were unsupervised because their folks were all working and everything. So they would run up on the porch and mess with stuff and run
Oh
out in the
man.
road and dare cars to hit them and stuff before the bus got there. So I got to where I would sit out with them and just kind of watch over them, to keep them out of the road. And I started putting games and things out to just something to. They were just bored. They weren't bad kids.
Yeah,
They were
I
just
get
bored.
it. But the thing is you suddenly, instead of screaming, get off my yard, it's like, here, let me give you some stuff. I
Something
see
to,
you, I
yeah,
care. I don't want to see you get hit by a car and killed because I don't
yeah.
want to see your mama cry all day.
There you go. So I do that in the mornings, but right now there was on an average of about 8 kids that usually are out there in the mornings. But this week there was on average about 2 or 3 because they were all everybody, and not the same ones every day. It was like going in circles and
Oh,
cycles.
okay.
So yeah.
Here, they've a few schools got closed
Hmm.
because and I get it because yesterday when we left yesterday, we left about 9:30. It was crisp, but it wasn't bad, and there was no snow. By the time we got out of there and went to Subway so I could get subs for everybody because it's my birthday. I wasn't gonna come home and cook. Screw that. And it's like, and I knew if I got a Subway for myself, that trying to walk home, and it's like because they have sixth sense when you've got food, and it's like, what you got?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what you got. Is it
Mhm.
something I want to eat? So it's like, you know what? I get everybody subs I know they like. That way you will leave me the hell alone. That worked for a couple of hours, and eventually my youngest finished his sub and went, "You have some sub left." It's like, okay, fine, just take it. Okay, just go away. But we had, by the time we left the subway, and then we went to this little shop to get some incense. We came out of that shop and it was as if we had just entered an Antarctic hellscape. Because it was like, we were like, oh, it's a few flakes here and there. We'll get home. We'll be fine. We came out that last shop.
Boom.
It was like, holy crap, moly, what is this? And because we were right by the lake, because we had to go catch the bus on at what is it, 53rd and South Hyde Park. You know where I'm talking about, Joe. So the outer drive, the lake, that's a lot of wind shear. And it was like being hit by millions of little ice cold needles just trying to dig into your skin.
It's like sandpaper on the face if you are in the wind for a little while.
Except it was like, like 20-degree cold sandpaper. By the time we finally got off the bus, you could see maybe half a block. And it's like, okay. And I at one point I thought, you know what? I need to take off my scarf and tie Courtney to me so I can just drag her along.
And see, Donna says that they don't have a theater in Danville where and see, that's what I've said about ours. I'm like, I hope that even because people complain about it a lot. There was one section that was closed off for a while in one of the theaters because they had ceiling tiles that needed to be repaired. And so they had that section blocked off, but you can still, they still showed movies in it. It's just, don't sit here in these 12 seats. But people complained about that. And I'm like, I'm just glad I don't have to drive, 2 hours to get to see a movie, because that's the next step.
Clyde's okay with old school with Dolby Digital. He doesn't have to have DTS and all the nice fancy stuff. Just let me watch the movie.
Well, Joe, with the new they're closed while they're closing the Walgreens at 71st and Stony. Kitty corner from it is what, when we first moved in to the neighborhood, used to be a bank, and before that it was a movie theater. They're talking about it becoming a movie theater again.
Well, they was up here talking about the one in Hyde Park, the one that only had the one.
It is. It's open. It's an AMC.
It's been open, close, open, close, open, close. It has never been stable for some reason.
It's an AMC now.
Okay.
It's an AMC. The only thing is they only, because Hyde Park, acts as they treat themselves like the subway not the suburbs in the city, the subway in the city. Yeah. It's it's like one of those little small time theaters where it only has the one movie, and that's what it is. It's an AMC, but it's only got the one movie. So and because it's Hyde Park, it's like, I guess that's part of the deal. We gonna pick whatever movie we decide of whatever you've got. We'll decide what movie you can have there. And nothing too popular because there's little to no parking. That's what. So, and my understanding was one of the reasons they had closed it is because they wanted it to be what it was originally, was a movie theater that was primarily for Hyde Park. And back in the day when there used to be a movie theater at 47th off King, that was easier to do. Did you ever go to that movie theater, Joe?
No, I've never been to that movie theater, but I remember the Regal a little bit further down.
There is the Regal, and then at 47th on west of King, there used to be a no movie theater.
So here's a movie question, since you guys are from the north part of Illinois. Did you have, when you were young, mainly, I think it would have been in probably in Elaine's era. Did you ever? Well, it's they go back a ways. It's not something that was. I remember around here they still called it that in the '70s, but I don't think it was actually still the official name of the theater. It just was a hanger on from what it had been before. But did you have any Jerry Lewis theaters up?
No,
No.
no, but that was because I grew up primarily on the west and south sides.
Okay.
So we wouldn't have had a Jerry Lewis theater.
Do you know what Jerry Lewis theaters were though?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We had one in a little town to our west, and when we first moved into town, they still had the uh, like his image as part of their advertising, and I was like, that's kind of weird. And if you went there, it was kind of set up differently than any of the other theaters. It was very small, just one screen, and what they had done is they sold franchises where they would, it was where one or two people could run the thing,
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be very automated. The person would take your tickets, somebody else would sell you some drinks and some sodas, and then when everybody got seated, they would, from where they were selling tickets and doing, they would turn everything on and just let it roll, and it was supposed to be completely automated and
It was the closest thing to a private screen.
yeah, yeah, but they weren't. It wasn't a huge theater, but it
Mhm.
was unique, and then it kind of hung on with some of the same equipment, even though it broke down all the time, into the, I guess, early '80s maybe, before it finally closed. But they kept all the stuff for it, and I didn't realize it until a few years ago. I started digging around and was like, why was it called the Jerry Lewis Theater? And then I found out about the whole franchise story, which is it. There are groups that are dedicated to the history of it, people whose parents retired and decided they would have a movie theater, and they would, have an easy way to make some retirement money, and ended up spending every dime they had on the place, and then having to fold it. I think it went bankrupt. Lewis, a couple of the last movies he did was to finally get out from under the debt he'd incurred from trying to be the CEO of it, I guess. But anyway.
Hey, but it was interesting because he was trying to look for a way to make himself more competitive in Hollywood and not have to rely on, because I think he realized he was getting a lot older, and his because he was one of those actors with very specific shtick. And so, and I think towards the end of the 50s, beginning of the 60s, it was wearing a little thin.
Mm-hmm.
Not the audiences. He could still make people laugh, but not the audiences, because my childhood was filled with memories of the Jerry Lewis Marathon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Labor Day, watch Jerry and the Stars come out. That
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody who didn't, even the kids who like made out like they were tough and cool and stuff. Everybody watched.
Mm-hmm.
The one year I got really tired of it because Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats was big on Broadway, and there was literally an hour where every time they introduced a young actress who sang, she sang the music from Cats.
Memory.
Yes, they were all. By the time the 15th chickie came up there singing Memories, it's like, you know what? Good night, Jerry. You could only, and some of them were really, really good, and other of them was like, y'all needed to pick another song because you trying to punch above your weight class. Okay.
I don't know. That's maybe with the comedian in him for the running gag, because that doesn't make sense for each and every person to sing the same song.
But as an older person, I get the gag now, but at the time, it was just, because the first couple of times it happens, it's like, oh, look, they both picked the same song. Then it's the fifth time. Then it's the eighth time. then it's the fifth. It's like, okay, I have had enough. You know, F you, Jerry Lewis. I'm sorry, I am done. And and it kind of broke my heart because for me, that was, growing up, that had become part of my childhood tradition
Yeah, yeah.
of like watching Jerry Lewis. It was like, oh my goodness, I just love it's Labor Day. Let me get all my snacks, you pop popcorn and
It was
you
a
know,
benchmark, along with things like The Wizard of Oz showing and the Ten Commandments. I mean,
Yeah.
those were every
Easter.
year, yeah.
Every Easter, 10 Commandments.
Yep.
oh my goodness, Charlton Heston, to the point where his last years, one of the last things I saw him do was when I lived in LA, some local college or high school or something, he was supposed to come. It was set up like the splitting of the Red Sea.
Oh,
was
no.
It's supposed to be to bless the football team. And they had reconstructed this like splitting, parting of the Red Sea thing. It's like, oh my goodness, please. This is what you've come to. But at least he didn't, have one of those fits where out of nowhere he'd scream, Soylent Green is people, or ask who'd you who'd you sell your strawberries to? Yeah, that was really
Or you blew it up.
Yes. You blow or don't touch me, you dirty ape.
Okay, so I saw a movie last week. We were talking about B-movie horror movies, and I saw one that made me think of you guys on that topic. Of I had wanted to see the Wolfman, and a friend of mine that loves monster movies said, "Save your money. Wait for it to stream on something that you already own, that you already have." I'm like, okay. He's like, the look of the monster just didn't. He was like, it's a Native American creature. It's really not a wolf man.
It's a Wendigo.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah. But he was he's like, if they had not tried to sell it as a wolf man, it wouldn't have bothered me so much. But he goes, even then, it's just it's really dark. It's hard to see. It's just cinematography wasn't great. So they had spent money to go see it, and he's like, I wish I could have got a refund because it just wasn't that good. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but he goes, if you want to see, he goes, so we came home wanting to see a Wolfman movie, and they have been skating around on Tubi all the time recently. So he goes, we found one called Late Phases.
Oh, okay.
And he said, if you want to see a kind of a good Wolfman B movie, get that one. I'm like,
that's okay. With the older dudes, right?
Yeah. With a veteran, blind veteran. Yeah. And that is a decent little Wolfman B movie kind of a thing.
A good silly Wolfman. I don't have the right title, but there's an English werewolves movie. It's ridiculously silly. It's a little town that's full of werewolves, and it's one of these movies where it's a collection of little stories about werewolves, but they're all kind of horror comedy. And you get about halfway through, these aren't just stories about what's happened around the town. You realize the people who are telling these stories are actually werewolves. So, and the whole town and it's got tourists and stuff. It's a town of werewolves. But it's a British film. I will get the title and put it to you and give it to you in the chat.
Okay. Cool.
But I find a lot of werewolf movies on Amazon. I found a lot of werewolves, though one of my once again, one of my faves for horror and comedy is Werewolf by Night, the black and white version. I'm sorry. When I go, y'all better send me off with some flaming tubas. Y'all, I'm just saying, I'm going to need those flaming tubas. Joe?
I'm just up here. It's like, okay, we're going to cancel the Amazonian send off. You on a raft, lighting on fire, pushing you out to sea.
I want flaming tubas.
Well, so we could do the Amazon thing. We just have to light the pyre with
Tuba.
tubas.
Yeah.
You gonna keep the tuba players on there with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I want M Dog from Struggle Nation. Courtney, can I have M Dog from Struggle Nation as one of my flaming tuba players when I die? She says,
Here, I thought you'd want a saxophonist from the Lost Boys.
No, oh, he's cute. He's, I think he did a Tina Turner video.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Because I remember seeing that and going, wasn't that dude in a Tina Turner video? But I didn't know he could also sing, because the song he's playing, I Still Believe. Mm-hmm. And he does the saxophone, but his sax doesn't really burn. I want when those guys hit that blast note on the tuba.
True. So, did you guys see the trailer for the Super Bowl trailer for the Thunderbolts?
No,
I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
I didn't either. But I saw the commercials.
I can, and usually, with about a week after. Okay, that'll work. That'll work. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll do it for $60. Get some kid to do it, film it on their iPhone.
Whoever you get to do that movie is not a porno. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, before I forget, Donna, Dollar Tree has 2 interesting books for manga. One is it's a manga layout, and you can draw your own. You can use it to draw your own manga story. It's a draw your own manga book, and each of the page has a specific layout, so you can work out your story and draw it on the layout. And then another one is drawing the anime or manga style. If you're interested, let me know. And next time I'm at Dollar Tree, I will grab them and then give them to Joe, and Joe can send them for you if your niece or whoever is still interested in all of that. I find really interesting things at Dollar Tree because I'm strange. It's like Donna says, it's flaming bagpipes instead of a tuba or French horn. It's flaming back. That's even better.
That's even more Celtic. So yeah,
don't ask for no flaming accordion. I'm sorry.
No. But hey, flaming bagpipes, a windy day, hot Celtic dudes, traditional kilts. Send me on my way, baby. I ain't even got to be dead. Just I'll just lay there and smile. Oh, she doesn't seem interested in manga anymore. Okay. That's good to know.
The Thunderbolt trailer, though, it kind of answered some questions, and some of the reviews of the trailer. It showed a bit more of the scenage. It showed some more interplay between the characters, and definitely has a Suicide Squad vibe about it. I don't think all of the characters are going to live to see the end of the movie.
But it's Marvel, so they may survive. But I saw the trailer, because now that the Super Bowl is over, usually about Wednesday or so after, they start releasing trailers. Right. And I saw the trailer. When did I see the trailer? Monday. I saw that trailer Monday. It's a longer trailer. In fact, I saw it. Struggle Nation. I love these guys. Struggle Nation. They were watching it and were like, it was the trailer they wanted to see, because they're big on superhero movies and Marvel especially. And they really, I enjoyed it too. It was fun to see. It was because the first one didn't give you an idea of how people were going to connect in way they were going to interact according to their skills. This gives you a clearer idea of where they're going with the movie.
And the idea that, if the character that they're facing off against is kind of like Marvel's Homelander or Superman if he was twisted, like Ultraman from the.
Yeah.
So, huh?
Sentry, it
Yeah.
gotta be Sentry or whatchamacallit.
Sentry. No, it's not Hyperion. It's
Okay,
Sentry.
Sentry.
It's Sentry, but and Yelena says right at the beginning, goes, "You want us to fight? We're not heroes. Well, we don't have to be heroes, but okay, can any of us fly? No, I mean,
No.
as far as a power set, if they're going up against somebody that's that strong, it is kind of, or they may actually team up with him against the dark side of his character, I guess, the void.
As
the dark.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character puts it in the commercial, the Avengers aren't coming.
Right.
Because I think the girl who plays Black Widow's younger sister is kind of like, isn't this a job for the Avengers? And
Yeah.
Louis-Dreyfus is like, the Avengers aren't coming.
Yeah.
In other words, we don't have the Avengers.
Mhm.
So you're what we've got.
Right.
You're what
Why
we've
is she
got.
a Thunderbolt?
Hmm.
I'm trying to figure out, why would she be a Thunderbolt? Technically, she's a anti-hero. She actually takes
They're
on
all
monitor.
anti-heroes. That's the
Or
whole
have been
point.
villains that are trying to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even Bucky, if you consider it, yes, Bucky kind of proved himself in Endgame, but for those who were gone after, didn't come back until the second snap, they wouldn't have realized the role Bucky played.
Right.
Right.
So to the eyes of many, Bucky is still the Winter Soldier. So it is, because they got the guy Kurt Russell's son, who was supposed to be the new Captain America until he beat a guy to death with his shield.
USA.
No, they talk about
agent.
John Walker, U.S. agent.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he's in it.
That
Widow.
makes sense, because they're not doing the Thunderbolts from the comics.
Oh,
I know.
No.
No.
This is one of those, Feige and the guys. Feige told them, come up, bring me something that will, bring me something that's going to work. And somebody had an idea, and it's like, well, run with it and let me know, go write something up and let me see what you got. And I think that's what they got.
You got Bucky. You got Yelena, the White Widow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got U.S. agent. You got Ghost.
You've got the guy who was
Go from Ant-Man. Okay, so you got
and Taskmaster.
And then you got Natasha's the guy who was Natasha's father, at least the guy that
The Red Guardian.
Yeah, the Red Guardian.
Okay, this is not even close to the Thunderbolts.
No, it's not.
No.
And there's and it's interesting because that expanded trailer gave you an idea of, it was like, okay, because I guess they felt people were like, it doesn't tell us enough. We don't get enough. So it's like, okay, fine, we're going to tell you what the movie is, because it basically is, we're the screw. And it's interesting because, okay, you guys have been watching a lot of D&D, because if anybody who's watched Dimension 20 or Geeks and Sundry or Critical Role, it's the folks who they're not heroes when they start out. They're kind of screw ups. Some of them a little less so, some of them a whole lot more so, but they start as the group, they're kind of thrown together. And they're basically society screw ups. And then as they get through this situation and they start learning to work, not just work together, but appreciate what everybody brings to the table and how those gifts can be used. But also in the trailer, because, there's a point of, oh, we can do this. And then it's like, oh, dang, we just got our butts handed to us, and it was one of those, okay, you just got beat, You get
You want
or
to save the world, you can't even save
yourselves.
yourselves. Is what
Yeah. You know,
quote
it
means now.
reminded me of you've seen the movie The Ghost in the Darkness, Clyde.
Oh yeah.
Joe, have you seen The Ghost in the Darkness? Oh, there's a Michael Douglas is in it, and he plays this lion hunter. And Val Kilmer is this guy trying to build the railroad where these two legendary lions is just killing the heck out of everybody. And after he's tried everything he can think of, they somebody says you need to talk to this dude, this white hunter dude. He's killed just about everything. He could probably help you. And he comes with his Maasai warriors, and Kilmer's looking all dejected and tired and exhausted because they really can't figure out how to get these two lions. And he tells him this line goes, "You got knocked down. Now the question is, are you going to get up?" And that's when I watched it, I almost expected to hear Michael Douglas. You got, you just got knocked down. Are you gonna get up? Because that's how the trailer feels. It just makes me think of that moment from the movie where he doesn't, everything he's tried that has not worked, and he has no ideas left on how to deal with these lions and stuff.
And the little thing from the Red Guardian going, Yelena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. And then her going, "That was really good. Okay."
It is a great moment though. My only and I love Marvel movies. I've loved more than I've hated. Um Including TV shows. And Joe, anytime you want to box,
No,
we can throw down.
I won't. I won't say that because I have came to defense of some Marvel movies and others. I understand where people are coming from, but they weren't as bad as what they thought they were.
But yeah, I just it's one I'm looking forward to seeing. But I kind of think I hope they didn't give the best, because some trailers they give all the
Yeah.
best moments away in the trailer, so that when you're sitting in the movie, you're just sitting there waiting for that moment to pop up in the trailer,
Yeah.
as
That's true.
opposed to you're really not into the movie. You're just waiting for those trailer moments, and it's like, but a few smart movies have, and I'm wondering if this isn't the case. While the movie is probably going to go along those lines, the actual scenes may not play out the way we think they are. In other words,
True.
they put in scenes that are not in the final film.
All right.
And so what we're going to get will hopefully be better. But that is, I do love that, because if anybody who watched the Black Widow film, and I love the Black Widow film,
That was an underrated film.
yeah,
It
it
was
was very
underrated. It was
definitely
underrated,
underrated.
but people want to poo-poo it, and that was one of the ones that I came to defense of. Unlike Captain Marvel, there
I'm
was
not.
there were
I,
several problems with Captain Marvel, but
I
we leave
didn't watch. I didn't watch the first of that. Everybody was so down on Brie Larson, and then I heard she made some comments, and it's like, okay, I'm not sure. I might slap Brie, but I'm a hold back. But in the movie, there was such a thing about the whole, she was trying to figure out who she was. And then to find out the parent, she thought she had these parents, but they weren't her parents. They were just who she was given at the time. And then she was put into the program, and she comes back hoping that her sister has not been put into the program. And her sister has. And it's not clear whether or not she and her sister are actually sisters, or just part of this manufactured family.
it was if you remember the USA series The Americans. It
Yeah.
Yeah, very much like
White
that.
Widow was pretty much a take on The Americans because
Mhm.
the only two people that knew that they were agents were Red Guardian and his so-called wife, which was the doctor slash scientist. They knew that they were agents, but everybody else did not.
Thought they were just regular Americans. But
Right.
it's just, it's interesting because they kind of felt, during that movie, you didn't really feel, other than the two sisters. Um, a sense of any real connection with the parents, something that was real and lasting. And then this gives us a chance to see the Red Guardian actually kind of do something fatherly, show consideration. Um, and I liked that.
He enjoyed his job as a infiltrating agent in the United States, and he took being a father seriously because he understood that the two girls needed somebody to guide them, and he was always that father figure. And I was like, that was it. It was just so. It was so wholesome that you just couldn't not get diabetes from it. That's the way I could put it. That's the best way I could put it. Now, the person who was playing the wife, on the other hand, not so much. She was
Hey,
evil to the core.
leave my Rachel Weisz alone. Leave Rachel Weisz alone.
She was willing. She was willing to give everybody up though to the organization.
Okay.
Espionage is a cruel business, Joe.
Yeah, it's, espionage is a but I will say
she wanted to preserve. She wanted to preserve her research. That's all that was.
she was more into her research. Though I will say I am still pissed at her because Mummy 3 would have been such a better movie had she been in it. And she not let them if she not let her people talk her out of it. Everybody's looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
I do. I get it.
I'm just trying to think Mummy 3 with her up in it with that
because they would have because she and Brendan Fraser had that chemistry.
Yes,
they did.
And they were and
that movie's got a lot of issues besides the two leads.
But it didn't help the fact that Fraser and the woman who was playing Evie did not have any real sense of chemistry. I just didn't feel them. I really just didn't. They just didn't. I just didn't get that. He and Weiss actually had. It was that lightning in a bottle. They were really good together.
I don't know that it would have made a difference because the first one I have watched, I can watch it just endlessly. I really and the pulp feel to it is really into my zone of what I like and what I write. And then the second one, I think I've seen it twice.
Oh, I've seen it 35 times.
Yeah, it just
my youngest
lost
loved
quite
it.
a bit. And also we got the stupid Scorpion King guy that
again, it was the launch. It was the launch of the career of a Dwayne Johnson who really didn't do much of anything.
And yet he got his own The Scorpion King movie I always wonder if they did that movie
more CGI on than him.
I think they did Scorpion King to make up for, that sort of that part. I think that was their like, oh, you know what? We kind of screwed you. Here, we're going to give you a whole movie to say we're sorry.
And they did that, and they messed up his career. It wasn't until the rundown until he was actually somebody legitimate.
True. It did kind of it stalled things for him.
It opened up the door for Disney movies, some very bad Disney movies, but it wasn't until the rundown where he was a serious actor.
But I think it's interesting because I think it was as a lot of guys who come in from one thing into another. It was where do we put him? Because it's like the days of making Sonia Heine skating movies or, what's her name, swimming movies.
I'm just thinking about it's like Dave Bautista did not go the same route as Dwayne Johnson though.
No, and maybe because he had. Maybe whoever is guiding his career was like, we're going to figure out another way to do this. Because technically you're in that sort of Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson kind of guy, but we're going to, Batista feels more like, what's his name? The one that did the Michael Jackson video and then, everybody, and next thing you know, he's everywhere. He was in Dust Till Dawn, the first one.
What? Not you're not talking about? Shoot, I can't even think of it.
This is not just it's catching. Menopause is catching.
That's not menopause. It's called memory lapse.
Menopause.
No, because I was like, it's like no, it wasn't. I'm trying to think of. It's not who I originally thought it was.
Danny
co-star.
Trejo.
Yes.
Ah.
Danny Trejo.
But that wasn't his breakout movie. It was something before that.
But I'm saying he was
Yeah, it was
discovered.
Desperado. It was
He was
Desperado.
discovered on the he was an actual gang member.
Oh yeah.
And he was one of the actual gang members that was on the set of Michael Jackson's Beat It.
Right.
And a producer saw the video, saw him and said, "Oh, that's the look. That's what we're going for." And next thing you know, offers started coming in. And people, and when he got representation, it was kind of like, you're going to have to make some choices. You can keep running with those folks, or you can have a career. You can't do both.
Right.
And he chose to have a career. And my favorite story he always tells is at one point, I forgot, he was doing a movie and somebody was saying, yeah, you could get some plastic surgery. And he was at a party and somebody was talking about, get some plastic surgery, make you really handsome. And his wife and his agent were there a few feet away and they both jump up and went, no! Because that was the look he had that look. He had lived that life and he looked like he lived that life. His tattoos. In fact, he jokes about being on the set and the dancers doing the dance numbers. He goes, yeah, there are these dancers and their tattoos are just melting off. They have to stop and reapply the tattoos. He's like, yeah, me and my homie standing there, they wouldn't let us dance. We're just standing at the side looking evil.
But I don't remember that story for some reason, but I do remember his Selma Hayek story.
That one I don't know.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, so you haven't watched the interview with Danny Trejo was talking about, he is like, it's like shortly after they did Once Upon a Time in Mexico and everything. It's like, he had that persona. It's like he's the tough guy. Nobody really say too much to him, this, that, and the other. And out of all people that was on the crew, because it was around Christmas time, Selma Hayek reached out to him. It's like, here, come over here for Christmas and this, that, and the other. And this was during the time that before he got married.
Okay, yeah. This is
so he was like, nobody really, people
were really scared of him when he first started in the industry because, and I think part of that was people were pushing that, he's an actual tough hombre,
right? And he was like, he was up here. It's like he was kind of shy and was scared of everything because technically he has a tattoo of her or somebody that looked like her on him.
Oh, it is. I think it is her.
And I think it is. Yeah, it was kind of like one of those things. It's like happenstance meeting and everything, and it's like and he like literally broke down crying because it's like she was like one of the few people that ever treated him like a legitimate person and welcomed him in to acting the way that he was supposed to be.
Yeah, it wasn't just, oh, we want you on the set because you the tough hombre.
Right.
Okay, come out here, do your stuff. Now go in your trailer and disappear. So everybody else won't be scared of you. Because I think when he first started, especially considering who some of his more notable co-stars were, who were played tough guys but actually weren't. Because he'd done like prison time and stuff. So
a lot of prison time.
They were scared of him. And I think a couple of them like, okay, he can't talk to me. Okay. He can't. Because I think instead of getting to know him, they just had this preconceived notion of who he was. And based on that, they were like, okay, we can't talk to him because he will kill us. And it's like, if you talk to him, because whenever I hear him, in interviews, he's funny, he's smart. He's like, yeah, I lived that life. I made those mistakes. I paid my dues, and I'm enjoying this life now. My understanding was the kids on the Spy Kids set
Mhm.
adored him.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
was, because he was definitely the uncle. He was really,
Mhm.
he treated them really, really well.
The thing about it is that the documentary that I saw that talked about him, he actually talked about his life, especially growing up. And if you understood how he grew up,
Yeah.
it was some of the most messed up stuff that any kid can go through. And to come out the other end after, it's just a lot of stuff that transpired because the only family member that ever looked out for him happened to be the worst thing that ever came into his life.
Yeah.
And it's bad when your own father kind of treated you a certain way, and the uncle who everybody kind of feared because of the extracurricular activities that he did showed you love and everything and kind of took you up under his wings. It was just messed up. So that part of his life, I was like, man, it's like people need to hear that part. It's like, I know you paid your dues and everything, but not all type of love coming, especially coming from family members, is the best love that you can think about. It's like, yeah, we all have those times that we need to like grow into what we're going to become, but no kid needs to go through that.
One of the things I love about him is the fact that he's appreciative
Mm-hmm.
of what he has, and he understands, because whenever I've seen him in interviews and stuff, he's always appreciative of what he's had, but he's very much a pragmatist because, I think he was asked once about, do you think if things hadn't gone the way they had, you would be here? And he kind of looks at it as all the hell he went through, that it delivered him to that. He had to go through that to get to that better place on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the fact that it has made he's very humble, and it doesn't come off as disingenuous. It comes off as he really appreciates what he's managed to make for himself
Mhm.
without it being like, he doesn't. Because my understand, being in LA, you be surprised where you run into actors. There are actors who probably, if they saw my face, would run away screaming because I still remember what I did to poor Rob Lowe.
Mhm.
Wasn't my fault. I did not know that was Christian Slater until I turned around and saw. I was a patient at the VA hospital in Brentwood. And you get to a point where you behave well enough, they let you off campus out in the world. And there was a Starbucks not too far from the hospital where a group of us would go because back then a basic coffee was pretty cheap. So we would go, we'd buy some Starbucks and we'd split some stuff. And I saw Rob Lowe walking with this kid. And I said, "Oh my goodness." And we had just what is it with the Stephen King that he did? Come on, help. He just did the mini series on ABC. The
What,
Stephen
Oh,
it or the stand?
The
the
Stand.
Stand. He did the Stand. He played the young deaf mute guy.
Hmm.
And they let us stay if we all agreed that we would behave ourselves, they held off our medication until each episode was done. And then they would drug us and make us go to sleep. But they used to let us stay up. And I saw it and I'm like, oh my God, that's right. And of course, sitting there, it's a bunch of ex-military guys. And they're like, yeah, we dare you to go over there, Hagen, and say hi. I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna mess with him. He's a student. It's like, and he came in the coffee shop, and I still didn't recognize the kid, what looked like a kid, because he's a little shorter than him, who was with him. Because when they're not on set, they look like little scruffy street people.
Mm.
A lot of them dressed like scruffy little street people. And there was Rob Lowe with some scruffy little street kid. And they were like, go ahead, offer to buy him a coffee. It's like, fine, let me go up there. It's like, I'm
I was like, that's the
extreme.
wrong thing to do because I'm like, the lady would
No,
be
no,
like,
no. It was
bye.
hilarious. I walked over to Rob Lowe and I said, oh, you know what? I am such a fan. In fact, me and my friends over there, we're patients at the VA hospital over there. And they let us stay up so we could watch the stand. We thought you were so cool. And he's standing there going, she just admitted she's a mental patient. And I said, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I would love to buy you a coffee. And he said, oh, thank you, but Christian beat you to it. And I'm like, Christian? And he goes, and I turn around and it's Christian Slater. And I turned back to Rob Lowe and went, do you know that?
And he's looking at you like, of course I do.
But I didn't say it quietly.
Yeah.
I said it loud enough so that my gang of idiots at the other end of the Starbucks also heard it, as well as everybody else in the Starbucks. And it was like, and there's that point of like, okay, now would be a good time to kind of back up and walk away. And I just went because it was like, oh my God. Because like I said, it's like, there's Rob Lowe. He's dressed nice. But it's like, did he just pick up some little street urchin? He's going to buy him a coffee out of the kindness of his heart, because he just looked like some little redheaded street urchin. And it didn't occur to me that, it was Christian Slater, whose sister, keeping it in our vein, does anybody know one of his sister's early movies? Supergirl. Helen Slater was the first cinematic Supergirl.
Okay.
I didn't know they were related. I never had made the connection.
I thought they were two separate people altogether.
Helen Slater is Christian Slater's older sister. She started acting and started getting famous, and it was one of those, well, hell, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, of course, his career outlasted and he eclipsed her. You know,
kind of like Philip and Nancy McKeon.
Yeah, kind of like the McKeons or even the Sheen Esteves clan. Because neither of them could eclipse Dad. Neither Emilio Estevez, and that was Martin Sheen's original name. Emilio took it on because a lot of people didn't know that Sheen was Hispanic. His dad is Mexican. His mom is Irish. And so he took her name because at that when he got into acting, if they didn't like your name, they would make you change it. So they were like, oh, nobody's going to hire some dude named Esteves. And you look Irish. So, he's like, well, my dad's, my mom's Irish. Goes, what's her name? Sheen. Okay. You're Martin Sheen now instead of Martino Esteves. And so when Emilio started, because he didn't want to bank on, he wanted to get in based on his own abilities as opposed to banking on his dad, he went in as Emilio Esteves. And then when an enterprising reporter, because there's always one, found out that he was part of the Sheen Esteves clan, and they started bugging him about it. It's like, Esteves is my family name. My name is Emilio Esteves. Yes, I look like a white boy, but I'm not exactly. And this is my way of honoring my father because he was made to change his name.
Right.
I had a choice, and I decided to honor my father by not doing that. Charlie took on the Sheen because he wanted everybody to know who his daddy was.
Charlie came along and went, Sheen me.
But a lot of people don't realize Emilio actually became a really good director. He actually he's actually something. In fact, the movie he did about the shooting of Bobby Kennedy is really well done. I think it's one of the better performances from some of that group, including and her name is escaping me right now, and it's funny because she's a fellow Brat Packer.
What? Wait, Ringwald? No, it wasn't Ringwald. It had to
Wasn't
be.
Ringwald.
What's her name from 16?
Bruce Willis's ex-wife.
No, it can't.
Yeah, she's in there.
Demi Moore?
She's in it.
That's why I say she was not a Brat Packer.
Yes, she was. She was in St. Elmo's Fire. Before she went off and worked with Patrick Swayze on Ghost, she was a Brat Packer. She came at the end of the Brat Pack.
Okay,
and
good. I was about to say she wasn't with
the last official
or Sheedy.
No, but one of the last Brat Pack movies is St. Elmo's Fire.
Okay.
It was sort of their graduation from the Brat Pack as they were all getting older. And she was in that movie with them. She was sort of a Brat Pack fringe. She was fringe. What's her name? I'm trying to remember. Also became very famous. Luckily, not a Scientologist. Eric Roberts' sister was also fringe pack. I call them fringe pack. Okay. She did the movie with she did the first version with Kiefer Sutherland where they're trying to find out what is beyond death. And then they come back. Flatliners.
Okay.
She was in Flatliners, and that was like when they were trying to when the Brat Packers were trying to get more adult, and they were kind of splitting their ways. She was in Flatliners with Kiefer Sutherland, and I forget who the other Brat Pack guy was that was in there, but yeah, there were.
That was playing Sheening going from Breakfast Club to like War Games.
Ali Sheedy?
Yes. Because War Games to me was getting like more towards the more adult type stuff than the high school hijinks type deal.
Yeah. So she was, it was an interesting group. They who did they just had a documentary called Brats, and it's about the Brat Packers. Emilio, Allie,
who was the grunge dude from the Breakfast Club? Because that's one of the few that I don't remember he did more anymore.
Judd Nelson. He was supposed to be the grunge. Right. He was supposed to be the because at the end they name what each of them is supposed to be. So Molly Ringwald is of course the preppy princess.
Right.
Ali Sheedy is like the goth girl.
Nelson case.
Nelson is, and each girl has her male opposite.
Right. Except for
and Nelson is supposed to be he's
except for Anthony. Anthony was the only one that didn't have an opposite.
He didn't have his opposite. But Judd Nelson is supposed to be the thug, the criminal. Mm-hmm. And Emilio is he's the jock.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be
and Anthony was technically the nerd.
Anthony was the nerd because he was also the youngest of that group. Mm-hmm. You know, which is how he got to later do Weird Science.
Right.
You know, they were trying to carry on the Brat Pack and get the new, and then Robert Downey Jr. There was like a whole group, because the thing is they all kind of, even the ones who weren't in all the films together, Downey Jr., they all grew. Estevez, Downey Jr., Sutherland all grew up together. Their dads all knew each other. Robert Downey Sr. was a director. Kiefer Sutherland's dad is, of course, Donald Sutherland, mm-hmm. who hadn't worked with Martin Sheen back then. Martin Sheen. They had all they'd either worked together or they were in that Malibu. They were part of that Malibu crowd.
Okay.
That those guys grew up in. but which is if you think about their past lives. It's
So
interesting to hear Rosie O'Donnell talk about when she did the second of that cop movie that Estevez did with oh, come on, help me out, guys.
No, I'm trying to think. You're going through so many movies so fast. Now, I'm trying to keep up, but we're almost at the time when we need
We
to.
need to you guys need to do the comics.
No, well, it's been past review time, but I don't have anything really new this week, so I'm not.
there was a book that I read this week and
Ooh.
reviewed it on Comics Beat that reminds me of everything you're talking about with Hollywood.
Oh,
From the
Is
world
this
of,
the, is this the one with the film noir thingy, the crime story?
nope,
Oh man.
this is a new one. This is this is from the world of Minor Threats, which is
Ooh.
that Patton Oswalt kind of spin-off little universe. Welcome to Twilight, which is it's like an anthology. I think it's a 4-issue anthology, and each one is a standalone story from Twilight City, which is where that's set. And the first
Oh.
one is about a guy who was born in like 1960, and as so many people are in the world of Minor Threats, it reminds me a lot of like Wild Cards, where you know people with powers exist in this world, and sometimes you're born with like a mutant gene that gives you powers, or you're experimented on, or you're a fly that some mad scientist evolves you into a sentient being. But in this case, this guy's born and he's a normal human being, except he has wings,
Oh.
which
He's
is nice, but he's a normal human being, so he can't get lift or anything.
Oh.
They don't
Damn.
work. They're just vestigial wings, but they look
Oh,
like angel wings.
okay, so he's like Orlando Bloom, but without the flying.
Yeah. So, um, you know, so he's born in this world of like you have people that have powers, do things. You have people that are operatives and have skills and they do things. Supervillains, heroes, and he can't. When everybody sees him, they're like, and you can't hide them. I mean, they're huge wings, so they're like are you a super? You must be a superhero. No. So he gets an agent, and he becomes an actor, so he can play a superhero.
Aww.
Because they don't need any, like they used to do with Rod O'Hatton and people like that. It's like your look makes you the monster, so we don't have to spend any money on makeup and that sort of stuff. Well, but instead of being a superhero kind of guy, he ends up getting the Don Johnson part on a Miami Vice-like show in the 80s called Wings and Prayer.
We are prayer.
Wings and Prayer. And Prayer is the other cop played by John Michael Thomas. Is that the one that played
Yes.
Michael Thomas.
Philip Michael Thomas, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're like these cool 80s cops, but he's got wings.
Yeah, he was Tubbs, right? He
Mhm.
was Crockett and Tubbs. Yeah.
Okay. But the story opens up. We see all this in like flashback, but now it's modern day, and his co-star ended up dying in a cocaine-laced speedboat accident. Oddly enough, it said. And so he is on the nostalgia circuit at conventions and stuff, signing people's autographs and showing up with his wings and everything, but. And kind of he has a small person who is his manager and friend named Swifty, and they're just kind of waiting. They're waiting for a reboot. They're waiting for that second wind of career to come in, and him be rediscovered, and or a movie treatment, or something where he can
he's the
cash
older
in big
brother
time.
in Entourage.
He's Turtle.
Very Entourage-ish. Yes,
he's the older brother in Entourage.
Yeah.
Turtle.
But it ends up just when he thinks that they're kind of waiting, and his manager is getting upset. The small person is getting upset because he's like, "Damn it! Before we have our shot, everybody's going to die. Everybody that all the fans, our fandom is dying off. They're getting old, and there's still no second wind to the career yet." And But in the midst of all that,
Mhm.
at a convention, he ends up actually getting a chance to be all the things he always wanted to be. Hey, Parallax!
Yep.
He ends up, facing off against a real crime lord with a femme fatale kind of in the wings, waiting to be rescued, and so he gets to actually have a shot at doing all these things. Which,
Cool.
yeah, it was just kind of a. It was Michael and Laura Allred were the artists, so it has a real faux four and ecstatic feel about
neon
it.
80s, the neon 80s type stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, go over to Comics Beat, look at the reviews for the week, and you'll see that one. And I think that, well, no, it'll be on next week. The review for that is on next week. But I have 2 reviews on for this week's also. So
you ready to go? You ready to get started?
you want me to do one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm reviewing a different book.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So my reads this week that were pretty good. We have the JSA number 4. We're really heavy into the Injustice Society new version. We got the new version of the JSA, and now we have the new version of the Injustice Society. And that's kind of formulaic, but they are making it interesting. They have some members that have not been in there before, and then some that have been there since the beginning of the group. So it's a pretty good mix. It's a slow build. It's not a fast-paced thing at all. But
Is
if
that
you like,
Constantine's Midnight?
yes, that's Beverly Chapel, Dr. Midnight.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
Constantine's
So
Midnight.
see the mix. It's got Infinity Incorporated characters. It's got the classic Justice Society characters. It's got new characters that haven't been in it before.
I remember issue 1. Issue 1 explained a lot about why they had to change JSA to the way it is now.
Right. So, but if you like the Justice Society, it is a good read. It's just for casual readers. I don't know. They don't take a lot of time to explain a lot of the backstory. They kind of assume that you're going to be cued into what's going on with each of the, something about the individuals to begin with, I think.
Okay.
And they don't jump into trying to make big action sequences. It's a slow build as they introduce the characters that they're going to use, and the story becomes more and more convoluted about what the Injustice Society is up to. It's a complex plot. So pretty good stuff. Geiger, number 11 came out, and this is one of those issues where you go, you're a dick. You're really an anti-hero.
Okay.
He's surrounded by a lot of people that haven't gone through as much tragedy as him, and they're nicer than he is.
Okay.
And yet they help redeem him. That's the strength, I think, of this title. He could be extremely unpleasant if he was left to his own designs, but he finds somebody that has the same condition that he does and has learned how to fix it, where they don't explode.
Cool.
Yeah. And so we get a major new character introduced that's only been hinted at before. And it's a stony, rocky start to the get together, but I think it's going to turn out for the best for him. So.
Don't tell Eric about the issue then.
Okay. And let's see, we got the absolute titles. The Absolute Superman number 4 came out. Again, this is a Superman. This is all told from the point of view of Lois Lane, who is kind of a special forces operative for this, basically a huge corporation, who has found that this person that they're supposed to be after and taken out, this mutant level threat, is not what she expected him to be. And so he's a puzzle, and she's trying to figure out how to put it together. And so she's not really on his side. She just, she's actually taking risks with the hierarchy and stuff that she's a part of to find out more. But she's still kind of under the auspices of, the more I know about him, the easier I can deal with him. So, but you know, and his whole approach at being the Superman that is like, you're a huge and powerful corporation. It's a shame you can't stop me from doing what's right. That kind of that in your face individual against corporations that are used to not having anybody oppose them because they know better. They're not sure how to handle him. So I'm enjoying that. I think as much as that one and the Wonder Woman are my favorite absolutes right now. Speaking of which, we had Absolute Batman number 6, no, number 5 came out. It's more of the same kind of
Spider-Man.
This is Batman. It's not Batman like Batman's ever been shown before. Of
Spider-Man.
I don't know. It's not my favorite absolute read. It's my least favorite, but probably the most popular. It does take some chances, but I don't get the payoff yet of where those chances are going to go. It's just sort of like, look, we're different. That's great. So but why? What does it mean? What's it amount to? Like last issue, somebody says, you can't overcome these powerful crime cartels. What you got to do is soak them for money, and then you can use the money to do good, like, fund equipment and stuff for yourself. So he makes arrangements and he gets a $2 million payoff. But rather than do what they were saying and use it to help people, he basically makes a bat signal out of it and burns it all up to show them he can't be bought. Mm. Okay, but he doesn't really, and then they beat the crap out of him. Yeah, it's just
that Spider-Bat does whatever a Spider-Bat does.
I don't know. It just. I mean, no. I can respect that viewpoint and all, but I can respect his approach of I can't be bought, but he could have made them rue the day giving him $2 million because he's very resourceful. He could have used it to do some real damage to their organization, but.
Well, he also could have done things like, somebody once commented on, Bruce Wayne is a billionaire. He could have easily created, job programs, funded kids kids.
He could have done what Nightwing did when he got his bequeathment from Alfred. It was the same sort of thing.
It's like he could have, there were other ways to fight crime as Bruce Wayne. And the Wayne Foundation, they could have done things, and that would have cut crime.
Right.
Because at least with younger people, when they've got an alternative, they're going to be least likely to turn to crime.
Yeah.
So again, Diana said it best. It's like technically he wanted a rogues gallery. With Dr. Price, all he wanted was to help his wife. You have the resources to do so. Why didn't you just give it to him? Mm-hmm. No more Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Every one of his villains had something unique, except for the Joker.
Yeah, he was just bat butt crazy. But.
Right. But even with that said, it's like a lot of his rogues gallery. If you would have used your resources to help them get past what they want, you wouldn't have Gotham City the way that it is with these super villains. Not, I wouldn't say super villains as far as powers, but all these bigger masterminds.
Yeah. So I just can't really get on board with it yet. I like the Absolute Wonder Woman and I like the Absolute Superman. I think that Superman was a little slow to catch up to her as far as the quality of it, but they're both really good now. But the Batman's to me still lagged behind in the vision of what they're trying to do with it. But that's just me. But last week I read a book from DC that impressed me in a lot of different ways. I actually rated it higher than what I thought I would initially. It has a few drawbacks, but overall it's a really, really good example of what you can do in the wake of a big event. I think that this sometimes happens by accident, but I think they actually planned this. Somebody did. And so my review this week is going to be for a book called Justice League: The Atom Project. This is issue number 2 of 6. It's published, of course, by DC Comics, $3.99 cover price. The writers on this are Ryan Parrott and John Ridley. The art is by Mike Perkins, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. It's rated teen plus. So
Ooh.
Which Adam is it? I'm curious.
that's the thing. This is a spotlight for some of the lesser known or second string characters, and you have mini atoms involved in the Atom Project.
Ooh.
So let me show you some art real quick. So
You
good
about to
action
heat
cover.
up.
Yeah. And you have two atoms.
Mhm.
You have
Oh,
Ryan Choi
Right. Which
and you
is
have Ray Palmer.
okay. So both of them are there. There's still
Both of
another
them.
one that hasn't been shown that I haven't seen since JSA days.
Oh yeah, which one?
The one that didn't have shrinker powers. He was just short.
Oh, with the atomic powered fists.
Right. Mhm.
Okay. Well, Al Pratt has been passed away for a while, but Adam Smasher is his protege, the one that he grows. He's in
Mhm.
the Black Adam movie. That
Right.
same character. He grows big, but he has atomic powered fists, and was initially called Nuklon. Then he became
Right.
Adam Smasher. He's in this.
Okay.
So
Ooh.
yeah. So you get some legacy, and you have a bear.
Ooh.
I love Ryan Choi's expression because they're looking for somebody that got the powers of Captain Atom,
And they got a bear.
and it's a bear.
The bear got the power. Okay.
The bear got the
Holy-
power, and that's his face going, oh no.
Oh, dang.
Um,
Couldn't have been any better if the word mommy had been written very small.
It's great. But now we have the regular Captain Atom also. So you have Captain Atom as well as the
Mhm.
Atoms.
Okay.
Little on the nose as far as all the Atom characters involved, but there's a reason. There's reasons for it.
And he's
So-
still in the containment suit.
and he's in the containment suit. But initially in this story, he's not.
Really?
No,
Ooh, that's interesting.
I know.
Oh, okay.
No
he-
containment
I
suit.
mean,
Doesn't
he
need it.
got
Doesn't have
in
his
this-
powers because his powers have been thrown out into the wild and they've been picked up by some other creature, which they think is a person, but it ends up being a bear. So,
Where's my super suit?
yeah. So here you've got all of the atoms going, run or fight or whatever, because the bear's got atomic powers.
Run away. Keep running.
And of course, this is not the final act of the book, but we do get a nice, oh yeah, I'm back.
Oh,
I got my
wow.
powers back.
Mm-hmm.
So
He went Kool-Aid.
he did. So
Oh yeah.
so this is the aftermath of the DC big event called Absolute Power. That was Amanda Waller. She tried to achieve just what it says, absolute power, with a means by which you could take away powers and abilities of all manner of metahumans. Anybody wanting to retain theirs had to be obedient and servile to whatever plans and goals that she put forth. Anybody refusing found themselves stripped of their superhuman abilities, incarcerated, or in some cases, both, or worse. And, if you've seen Waller's track record of my way or the highway domination over the Suicide Squad, it's debatable which of those fates would be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't closely follow the event. One miniseries in its aftermath, though, caught my attention. It's this one. It began with a mention and an appearance in the new Justice League Unlimited series, where a bigger and better league is formed after Waller's attempted power grab is forcibly ended. But in its wake, little is as it was before. When the Waller power removing process was reversed, the results were chaotic and varied. Some former metahumans didn't get their powers back. That's Nathaniel Adam there. Or the version that they did get was altered, different.
So
It could be a different level than what it had peaked at before. It's chaotic. People who didn't have powers previously might suddenly find themselves with the ability to communicate with fish, while Aquaman discovered that he could now only breathe underwater. Other individuals had a previously recessive mutagene that was tripped by the floodgate of the sweeping power changes and manifested in their own unique super abilities. So you have a whole population across the globe that is trying to deal with loss of power, change of power, or manifestation of power they didn't have before. In still other cases, you had super beings that shared maybe a history or a team affiliation, finding that they had switched powers with somebody on the team also. In the Justice League issue I talked about, Plastic Man and Phantom Girl, both formerly part of the Terrifics, switched their metahuman powers, leaving Plastic Man a ghostly vision unable to solidify, and Linya as a protoplasmic blob unable to pull herself together because they don't know how to use these powers. And you have the Atoms showing up with this device that they've created to help them switch their powers back. Those kind of situations create emergencies requiring Justice League assistance, and in some cases, they've turned the watchtower into a containment area for those most out of control regarding their powers to keep them from harming other people or themselves. So they kind of got a gulag in space in part of it, and also a treatment facility, just depending on how drastic the powers are. And handling these instances where the problems with powered people erupt on Earth, and also being caregivers for the ones they've taken in, it's eating up a lot of JLU time that they should be using on other things. So they task two renowned scientist heroes the task of unifying, or of untying rather, the Gordian knot of these lost and misplaced powers, Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi. They're geniuses in all the right fields required, and both have experience applying timely, often improvised scientific solutions in superhero conflicts. And since both have used the codename Atom, the initiative is called the Atom Project. So early on, they develop a power stabilizing device, and they fine-tune it by testing it on those individuals that are suffering the most or are in the greatest state of power flux. Some of the people on board the watchtower they've been taken in to help them. This includes Al Rothstein, who is Atom Smasher. The process does end up stabilizing his powers, but it leaves him in a very tumorous, like crippled form that they hope to be able to correct with further study. But their first major goal, once the stabilizer was even marginally functional, is reuniting Nathaniel Atom with his missing Captain Atom powers, because those have been determined to be the most devastating, the most destructive potential of all the missing and changed powers, and they needed to be accounted for the soonest. So in issue number 2, we get flashback sequences regarding how that reclamation mission went. It's intermixed with current scenes in which the Atoms are trying to track down the re-energized Captain Atom. As we saw, he got his powers back, but now he apparently is going around reclaiming other powers that didn't originally belong to him. Without their little device, he's going around taking some of the powers from other people. And the final act of the story pits Ryan and Ray in opposition to General Wade Eiling, who insists that Captain Atom has become a dangerous liability that the military will handle unless the Atoms can get their microscopic act together fast and deliver him. At the same time, Captain Atom reaches out to another scientist outside the Atom Project to help him with a surprising new agenda. So the good. We've talked before on the show here about how sometimes the best thing about these big, awkward cross-title events that want you to buy every issue are the aftermath stories where better writers actually come up with smoothing out the rough edges. The Atom Project may be a more intentional version of that approach because it certainly provides a hella huge sandbox for other creators to play in. You have a powered character that you don't think has ever reached their full potential. Here's your chance to fix that. Or you have another character that you always thought was way too powerful and needed to be toned down. You can do that. You have a character idea for a superpowered person that's never been able to be used before. There are new people with powers just popping up all the time now, so you can do that. So this storyline opens possibilities for tweaking the power sets and the worldviews of all kinds of characters. And it's also a focus on mainly, like in this, secondary characters who don't always get the spotlight. So, usually all of the panel space is being breathed in by the big guns, and this is something that actually applies more to the secondary characters. And also, the storyline and the writers are not afraid to engage in excellent sci-fi elements. These are two, Ryan and Ray are two of the biggest minds, the brightest intellects in the DCU. And they're giving a harrowing scientific-based challenge. Ray Palmer, put it in perspective here. He helped his team of JLA and JSA heroes escape the infinity trap of the fire giant Surtur. That's basically an Armageddon battle where they die at his hands. They get resurrected automatically. Ragnarok, rinse, and repeat until the end of time. The original JSA, they were trapped in that infinity loop for 20 years.
Dang.
Palmer, when Palmer's group of JSA and JLA people were stuck back in it by Johnny Sorrow in their hardback team-up book, Ray Palmer was one of the heroes that was implemented in this trap that wasn't in there before. He helped his combined team of JLA and JSA members use their powers scientifically to escape in less than 20 hours because he's Ray Palmer. So he can think on his feet, and he's brilliant when it comes to science. But therein may also lie the Atom's weaknesses, because Al warns Nathaniel before they embark with their prototype stabilizer and trying to regain the Captain Atom powers, that Ray sees all this as fascinating science. It's experimentation with his goals sometimes overshadowing his empathy. And that Ryan may be brilliant, but he's Ray's longtime student and not likely to speak up in any kind of opposition to options when he should. So, so this also spotlights a part of Captain Atom's background that we forget about a lot now, unless you go back to the days when he started working in was a DC character. He was an unwilling test subject that the American military science bigwigs used after he was wrongly convicted of a crime. They experimented on him and turned him into Captain Atom, who then General Eileen blackmailed into working as a superhero asset for the military.
Oh, man.
That is true. Yep, that is true. That's history.
That sucks.
I know. And now, with Eileen and the military inserting themselves into the mix of recovering errant superpowers, it's got to feel like deja vu to Atom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is why he has gone AWOL from the project, collecting up the powers that he apparently has the ability to take by mimicking what the stabilizer properties were designed. The inconsistent way the stabilizing units work, the tweaking that Ray and Ryan are doing on them, also tracks with the wide variety of powers and materials that they are dealing with here. Not to mention the origins of these different powers. Some of them are magic, some of them are mutations, some of them are biotech weaponry like nanotech. In Captain Atom's case, the powers went with the containment suit material. This is why it looks like a polar bear, because it's silver. It's a silver grizzly. Mm-hmm. So whoever received one received both. So designing a unit to switch the powers around and the materials to the rightful owners, it would be a nightmare that they are, just like that they're portraying in the story. So in these ways, the story being put down by writing team, actually, Ryan Parrott and John Ridley, it's like an Andromeda strain, high-stakes sci-fi thriller for superheroes. And so far, I think it's working brilliantly. Mike Perkins is the right artist for this miniseries, equally excellent in those small interpersonal scenes, like the Ryan Choi expressions. He can do expressions, he can do the interpersonal relationship moments, he can do the big action scenes beautifully, as you saw. There's one expression that an older, grizzled Nathaniel Atom, when he doesn't have the Captain Atom powers, He gives good suspicious side eye regarding the military goals of the project. It's kind of like the Ryan Choi, the image I showed you. It's just, this is a guy who's been through it. He's not having any more of this, and he's making some decisions right there, and you can just see it in his face. Um, Perkins delivers those moments with the right blend of sometimes humor, but always building tension, even if it is humorous. The bad. The only thing I don't like about it is the flow and pacing can be hard to follow. You got to really watch for the little text boxes that say where you're at in the story. So you know if you're seeing flashback moments or current happenings. It took me 2 read-throughs to get it all clearly outlined in the sequence of events.
Okay.
But it was worthwhile. It was worth doing it, and then I think now by the 3rd issue, I will be better at figuring out where we're at, jumping back and forth. And they may be done jumping back and forth. It may have just been this issue that had that as a part of its outlay because of the way they framed it. I would have probably done it a little differently, but it does work. You just have to. It's a little confusing, and I thought it was maybe just me, but I had read some other reviews of it, and a couple people said the same thing: is that they had trouble following it just because of the way it's paced. So, but the takeaway: if you add in all the sci-fi elements and the shadowy agencies of Eiling and the military, and you have a miniseries mopping up from a big event in what feels like an intentional and creative fashion, that's this book. While it crosses over with some small details in other titles, there's nothing so far compelling you to pick them all up. We saw a little bit with them in that Justice League Unlimited story, but it wasn't germane to this story. So it doesn't seem like you have to go along. They just leave you a few crumbs in the other issues so that you could come and discover this one if you want to.
Okay, so you don't have to chase down 60 other comic books in order to get the story.
I'm not getting that vibe from it at all at this point. And that's a nice break from the usual hard sell of buy this book, buy this book, buy this book. And this title,
nothing like how they did Wonder Woman, where
no,
I became fans of Birds of Prey again and Amazon's Attack and all the ancillary stories because the main story sucked.
Yes. I don't know that the main story sucked. I didn't follow it closely enough. But I really love the aftermath idea that, we took all these powers away from people. Big hero people took all their powers away. And then when it was reversed, it was flawed and it didn't work the way it's supposed to. I love that. It's brilliant for making good, solid, expositional, explorational kind of stories with characters that we're very familiar with to give us something new. And this title's got me ready to find out more. Now, my own personal theory is that Captain Atom found when he got his powers back using one of the stabilizing units that he could replicate the same kind of power. His powers are energy based. He can take in a lot of energy, and it can transport him into the future. But he can absorb a lot of different energy forms. So I think he figured out that he could also use the same kind of energy, he could replicate it, and he could take the powers and abilities from other people. And just, there's a deal where he sneaks into a facility because he's got the ability to change his appearance, a lot like Chameleon Boy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this also may have clued him into certain powers and individual abilities that Eiling wants to collect, but not necessarily return to the original owner. After all, some powers would be extremely beneficial to black ops and espionage if wielded by somebody, without necessarily civilian moral standards. Somebody that you could give orders to and they have to follow them, for example. General Eiling could actually see this as a way to implement his own shadowy absolute power grab. Where Waller's failed, he can, in the mopping up process, he might be able to make his own sort of manipulation of the Justice League members this way.
Great.
And the Atoms are just now catching on to his con, and Nathaniel he's seeing to it. He's seen Eiling in action before, and he's off the reservation, making sure that the power sets marked for the military plans that Eiling may have go elsewhere, starting with himself. I'll take them in and I'll decide what's going to happen to them. I think that's where it's headed, but it's a good mystery. The whole thing is wrapped up in a mystery like this to give it sort of a Manchurian Candidate, Andromeda Strain feel. And I think it's a really great way to wrap up and mop up the aftermath of a big event. So, yeah, for such entertaining superheroic subterfuge and skullduggery, with spotlights on the best of secondary DC characters, Justice League: The Atom Project #2 gets my score of 8 White Dwarf fragments out of 10.
Ooh.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of one other thing now.
What's that?
About Captain Atom.
Hmm?
Because people keep forgetting that he wears a containment suit.
Mm-hmm.
He does not need the containment suit to exist. Now, I'm wondering in this series, will they explore the fact that maybe he needs to be outside the containment suit and to make his abilities even more useful, meaning like the changes of his features and all this other stuff will now become more natural because he's in his energy-based form.
Maybe.
Cool.
He's one of the characters that, he has depending on how he's written, he's the basis for Dr. Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never explored that with him. So he's one of the prime candidates for a switching, a tweaking, changing of power set, expansion, whatever. I don't know that will be I'm not sure where they're going to go with it at this point, which is also in its favor. I don't know where it's going to.
See,
I'm not sure.
He's just one of those weird characters that it's like he detonated himself a couple of times, and what they ended up doing is that, we just have to go back and get all his fragments and put him back into the suit, and he's 100% fine again.
Or launching himself into the future a bit because he's took in too much energy. So yeah.
And then come back, and when he finally eventually comes back, he's kind of like disoriented because he knows too much now.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those books that from DC that I wasn't really sure. I kind of got it on a lark just because I like the Atoms. I like the shrinking heroes, always have. And here you got two great ones that are working on a project together. So then I saw Captain Atom was in there. I'm like, well, that's a bonus, okay. And no, I'm glad I did because it's ranking in other reviews and stuff. It's getting about a 7.5 or 7.7. But I was like, just that concept, which may have been somebody else's idea. Maybe that was something that they began in another book and it just kind of leaked over. I don't care. It's a great idea. It's a great exploration of what we think we know about the characters and giving them a chance to do something different.
It makes me wonder about the power sets. Because now with Captain Atom being the way that he is, maybe they can discover the actual mystery behind Nth Metal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because now it's like all bets are off now, because now it's like, okay, you got Ray Palmer and Ryan doing what they're doing. We know that Ray, there's no stopping Ray when he gets in over curious mode. Yep. I mean, he's worse than Reed. Now he won't put universes in danger. Now he won't be like Reed to put universes in danger. But if he wants to figure out something, he's going to figure it out. I'm sorry, it's just
I think Al is right when he says, here he is he's in a containment area because he's still somewhat radioactive because that's his power set, and he's all twisted up, going, well, they call this stabilized, and I'm not in any danger now. I'm kind of hoping they can do some more work on it, but they say that's not really important at the moment. They got bigger fish to fry. And you're like, yeah, I can see where Ray would think I got to work toward the greater good. Also, this is much more fascinating. This is a problem that can wait, but not if you're poor Al. It's not a problem that can wait. So,
and it just makes me think. It's like what if he has to deal with somebody that's like Dr. Fate? Is he going to figure out the secrets of Naboo because he has to deal with the helmet?
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's like this series to me has almost rejuvenated the fact that I'm about to get my Challengers of the Unknown back. This with Ray and Ryan, Ray and Ryan. Now I was like, whoa, this is Challengers of the Unknown, meta-human style.
Well, and they incorporate one deal. They go microscopic and go into a bloodstream of somebody that's been afflicted, trying to figure out what the deal is. And they're like, oh, look, we can tell in here that he has like nano bits that have tapped him into the speed force. And they're like, well, why don't we just speed him up then and transport him away from here? And he's like, well, because we're supposed to keep a low profile. And if we do that, people will see him flashing through at super speed and go, why is that guy's clothes on fire? Oh, but
isn't Johnny Storm supposed to be with the other comic book series?
Yeah, exactly. So, just their whole, it's a really good thing to show them, like I said, Professor and his prize student working together to that they think it's all good stuff until the military comes in going, well, you're really working for us and we need you to speed this up or we're going to have to take over on our own because we have our own. And one of the things that Eiling hints at is one of his subordinates is like, so what do you think? And he's like, what I think is that either they're incapable of capturing Adam or they're refusing to do so and making it look like they're failing. Either way, we have the quantum initiative. We'll just instigate that. So he's already got a way to bypass, or he thinks he can bypass them if they can't deliver. So, yeah, it's just that kind of.
It made me think so much. It's like my writer's brain is going, you know what? Quantum initiative, bypass them. Probably get somebody like Firestorm, take his power, use it to the best of their ability. Now they have a means to transfer powers and give it to somebody that could pretty much manifest anything that they damn well want to manifest.
Yep. So it's the kind of a storyline that, like I said, you can hand it off to 12 different writers to come up with 12 very different but extremely entertaining variations on this. And I applaud anything that is that creative in comics, especially in the big two. Other little companies will take chances all the time, just like that Minor Threats storyline that was a lot of fun. But for the big two to do this, I'm impressed. I haven't been this impressed by Marvel in a while. So now they're gonna, the line in the sand is drawn, Marvel. You need to up your game a bit more.
No, they're too busy dealing with movies.
Yeah.
To be honest, because what I'm seeing, and I hate to say this, what I'm seeing here with the MCU, eventually MCU canon is going to eventually make it to the comics.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing a lot of the stories kind of taking that slight turn to how the cinematic stuff is written.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bode well for the older stories that we know and love and everything.
Well, they did that with the White Widow. Remember, I reviewed a couple of those issues, and they had taken, in the comics, she's a certain way, an anti-hero, and people were very competent and, a former assassin who was not above falling back on her old habits if it was necessary, if she felt for the common good. This guy doesn't need to live anymore. He's killed too many people. Very much anti-hero. And then the movies made her more of she's very skilled, but she's also funny.
Yeah.
And that miniseries brought that into her being where she's trying to become part of a community, a neighborhood. It's like her therapist says, you need this, you need human contact. So regular people contact. So she's trying to, and it's a good story, but it's definitely it's Yellow enough from the movies, not the one that they had started off with. And
it was Helena from Hawkeye, to be quite honest.
Yes.
That's the way that I look at it. It's like,
yeah.
Like, how do you have a partner with only one fork?
Well, I will say I enjoyed Loki, Agent of Asgard. I will say I did enjoy that. And they took some aspects of Tom Hiddleston's Loki
Yeah.
and put it in there. But I will say it all, you reading it, you can see that they, as much as they brought it in there to give spice to the character, you also could see with this, they also put effort into making sure you got a good story.
Good. That's good.
It's not just
it's the kind of balancing act they're going to have to decide, though. Is it worth, they make more money? Will it be more profitable to stick with the way the characters have been written, or will they increase their viewership or their readership by taking for granted the people that watch the shows and the movies will start reading? That's a big gamble. I don't know.
That's what I'm about to get ready to say. The two audiences don't mix. They don't.
Yeah, because it's interesting in the Tolkien fandom, while there are some people who have seen the movies who then started reading the books, the majority of the young women and even a lot of the young men who've seen the movies and love the movies have never picked up any of the books.
Right,
and I've gotten to the point there are some I won't talk to, because if I have to hear the word silly Marillion one more time, I'm going to jail. I'm just, it's like, and I've heard people, I can't read it. It's like, why are you blind? It's like somebody didn't give you the you only got the print edition. They do make a Braille edition, if you're blind, you can get it in Braille. And one girl, she was very sort of like how, and she tried to make it like she was more superior, and it's like, have you ever read the King James Bible? And she said, yes. It's like, well, if you can read the King James Bible, you can read the Silmarillion. It's almost the exact friggin' same language, because it's the same sort of old English structure of a King James Bible. And because people are like, oh, I'm daunted. It's like, if you grew up reading King James Bible as a child, yeah, well, then you can read this book. It's not that hard, and I've had people, well, how do you read it? It's like a dictionary and a King James Bible. You'll be fine. it's and then I have to and people have to go, yeah, Elaine, not everybody you meet read Shakespeare as a child.
Nope, they didn't.
And so you have to remember that, but it's like, it's like it's just take the time to read the source material. And because there are some guys I see them do, like, there are fan shows for those of us on the Tolkien, and you can tell the guys who talk as if they're experts on the lore, and it's like, oh, you haven't watched anything but the movies. Because I can tell just by what they're talking about. It's like, oh, sweetie, you haven't watched anything outside the movie, so you know better. And then there are those guys who it's like, oh, okay, you've watched something, you've actually read a book, thank you. But so it's but like I said, I like the Agent of Asgard. The one I read, it's Kid Loki. Well, yeah, I think he's supposed to be like the equivalent of a 14-year-old in the story. And I won't give away the ending, but it was bittersweet. It was kind of bittersweet. I will say he had made up that he and Thor had developed an understanding. but I will say that I liked it because people forget, in the old Norse mythology, there wasn't much Loki wouldn't sleep with. He disguised himself as a mare to get this horse from this it was a horse that he was getting from a dwarf, so the dude couldn't build this particular wall in the time that he said, so that they could win, so that the gods could win this bet with him. And then he ends up he did his job he distracts he actually does distract the horse, but he does his job too well, and he ends up pregnant. So he has to show up later with his horse. And it's like, dude, that's an interesting horse. Where'd you get it? And it's like, I gave birth to it.
Meanwhile, he becomes a cautionary tale for Zeus to go,
Yes.
wait a minute. Maybe I need to back off a little bit.
Yeah, look.
Maybe I need to learn this lesson. Never be the female version of being a beast.
It's like,
That's the reason why I always stayed the bull.
look, dude, I birthed this horse for you. She's got 8 legs. She's very fast. And, Zeus is like, okay, I'll ride the horse for 100. Like, but it's like if you read it, I always wondered the guys who wrote about Loki in the old Norse mythologies. It's like, okay, I get it. You were smoking ganja. You must have been drinking like the purest vodka, whatever. Because it's like some sort of those mythologies, especially when Loki's concerned, they read like something out of somebody's like cocaine fueled hellscape.
Penthouse Forum?
Okay, cocaine fueled hellscape, mythological Penthouse Forum, because every time you turn around, Loki's getting banged by or banging something, and some weird ass kid is the result. The world serpent.
Loki's like, Caligula has nothing on me.
And in this one, when he's Kid Loki, I was grateful they didn't. While there was some verbal bantering about things, they never go there. They never go there, because it's like, and the timeline is interesting because it's like Kid Loki is Loki, but he's Loki after he's been an adult. Something happened and he got reverted back to this teenage form. And so I think he was killed and was reborn or something like that. The thing is though, everybody still hates him. He's Kid Loki.
Hates Loki.
Everybody's, because of the whole Balder thing.
Oh, okay.
So they still hate him and regard him as the betrayer of Asgard and whatnot. So, but at the same time, he's got this mission. He's got this secret mission for Asgard that he has to complete. So it's an interesting. I've got to figure out. You don't have Kindle, do you? Okay, I could see if I can send it to you on Kindle. But I am going to. It's one of those things where next time I get to Hyde Park, I'm going to go see James and say, "Hey, I need this." Because I got the graphic novels. Like, I need these 2 graphic novels. So you need to give them to me now. Of which James will just sort of look at me, smile, pat me on the head, and go, "Okay, I'll go see what I can do." And it's like, okay,
that's after the banana bread on the stick. It's like, I need these 2 things.
Oh my goodness, yes, I do. I actually do owe him banana bread. I didn't get it to him for Yuletide. So yes, I owe James banana bread. Dang it. Thank you for the reminder.
That's what I'm here for.
Make it a Valentine's Day present for him.
Well, he's married, so I can't do that.
Okay. Well, make it for both of them.
I bring him a loaf, and he then feeds his crew. Okay. So I'm banana bread chick. I'm like a superhero. I'm banana breadia. Anyway, it is after.
It is late.
It's 9:20. I have not had dinner.
Yep.
And I need to eat and then go to bed so I can get up in the morning and start building stuff and taking pictures. And this weekend, Joe, I need to get the last of the work on the comic done so I can upload it to Amazon.
Okay.
But then next week, I'm going. I worked on it this morning.
Well, when you upload it to Amazon, are you planning to do the guided reading.
No. Clip Studio Paint lets you you can within the software now you can create a version specifically for Kindle.
Okay.
But I'm not planning. I actually just got a book that it slipped a page went into guided thingy and it's like no, I just wanted to make it bigger so I could read it, you know. Because that's kind of it's kind of frustrating when it breaks when you suddenly instead of the page and you being able to expand it so you can go through the way it's laid out, suddenly it pops up just as a panel at a time, and you got to know how to swipe it correctly
To take
or
it out.
yeah, to take it out. So it's like no, that's a little irritating. And it could just be, you know, I old. So, you know, I'm old. Maybe I just don't do that well. But yeah, so I'm going to put it up there. But I am also going to create a PDF and I was going to put it in the chat.
Mhm.
So if you guys wanted to read it, you could. If you didn't, that's okay. Because I asked for beta readers and nobody took me up on it. So hey, you know, I've got to finish the covers, get the about me section done, and then do another editing pass, and then she's ready to go.
You're not going to get your other buddy to read it for you, and edit it, and tear it apart,
Did you?
or she's not available, or she's not available.
She's, you know, we haven't spoken in some time. She was supposed to edit, and then she ghosted me a couple of birthdays ago. And
Boo.
yeah, you know, and I'd already started paying her for the book. And so it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to get my money back and you ghosted me. Great. So it's like, you know, I will be, and that's why I decided I took a couple of weeks of not looking at it. Because if you're going to do editing, you have to kind of back away from the work for a bit.
Yeah, you do.
And then go back and look at it. So you're looking at it with fresh eyes as opposed to when you're in the middle of working in it and things start to get past you. So that's why it took some time. I'm also going to I will probably run Grammarly through it as well.
Have you ever taken the script and run it with the voice mode to listen to it?
No,
that helps me a lot.
Oh, okay.
That helps me to find words that are misspelled for one thing, but just in general to hear how it sounds aloud helps me to make it flow better.
Well, I've got the script that I wrote for the film, but one of the things I'm doing that it came up when I started working on the comic was that my lead, my female main character also does a running commentary of narration that's not in the film script. It just sort of it was one of those things is, you know, it's sometimes that character just comes and smacks you in the side of the head with a brick and says, I need this to happen because people need to understand my position on this. It's like, I'm already writing the script. No, they need to understand my position. It's like, okay.
People hit people upside the head with thought bubbles. Beware, people. Beware.
Well, no, luckily it's not thought bubbles. It's like it's like if you were watching a film that had narration. I don't know if you saw Fallen.
Narration boxes,
yeah. So it's got narration there. It's not a constant running gag, but there are certain scenes where the narration goes because you not only therefore get what's going within the scene, but you also, you know, the narration also gives you what she's thinking as you're going through the situation. You know, like the guy who likes her husband's gay assistant, who, you know, or the woman or her assistant who flirts with her husband. You know, so things like that, you know, just little irritants and things like that. But yeah, so like I said, once it's ready to go, I will put the PDF. People can, I will either put it directly in the group or I'll just put the Dropbox link. And then, you know, you'll have like 48 hours. So people who are, you know, people who want to check it out can check it out. My only request is that, um, wait until I announce that it's actually live on KDP. If you want to say something about it publicly, if you want to talk to me about it anytime. But if you want to say something like, "Oh, it's a piece of crap and you should never read anything she writes, she's nuts," at least wait.
That's when you need to keep your opinion to yourself, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't do that. That's devastating. Don't do that. If I find out that somebody does that, there's going to be hell to pay.
Oh, it's okay.
No.
So
It's going to be hell to pay because I'm one of those people who's like, you know what? If you don't like something, you don't have to let the whole world know about it. Just let it go.
Hey, my first book tanked because Girly got up there on Amazon and wrote, "It's not horrible, but." It's like, okay.
The first you talk about the one that we went
the Enslaved, yeah.
Again, that happened, and this is where I get to the point where it's like, you know what? I feel kind of guilty of this because we probably didn't put the right marketing and the right campaign together to keep the enslaved in people's minds, because it's not a bad story, but it just wasn't in that person's wheelhouse. And because it was only one comment out there, it speaks volumes. It would be nothing if it was 100 comments out there and one said, "Oh, it wasn't too terrible." It's like, okay, fine, that wasn't that person's cup of tea. But if it's only one comment, it's the only thing that people could go off of.
And the fact that her wording was, it wasn't. She didn't say it wasn't bad or anything like that. She said it wasn't horrible. It's like the words you picked, and then went but. And it's like, and then gave away most of the story. She wrote this long thing and gave away most of what the story was. It's like,
but keep in mind, Hollywood even has trouble, and these are people that do this stuff for a living. They have trouble marketing, saying the right things to promote movies and books and everything. So don't feel bad. I mean, that just happens sometimes. So
and I'm not. It's, I guess, because I'm sitting down and creating is the part that I love and I'm good at. But then, it's a childhood psychosis. I know it is. I've been therapy forever, and it's like the minute someone says, "Give me your 2 seconds, your 2-second pitch," I like brain just freaks out, and I don't get it right. It took me 2 weeks to figure out what to write for the About Me page.
It takes me a long time when they say, "Send me a pitch," and this is just short story pitch, but it takes me. I've spent like a week trying to get it so that it doesn't tell too much. It doesn't get me like shoehorned into a place I don't have any wiggle room, but is entertaining. It's like, I want to know more about it. I want to see how this turns out. Okay. That's not an easy thing to do. I mean, it should take some concentration and some effort. Or we could cull and bun it and just kind of, here. Here's a great concept.
I think find out what my book's about.
Here's a great concept, but I will never be able to actually fulfill all of its potential because I don't write like that. I can come up with great ideas, but
like I said, I could write something. I got into the AFI based totally on my ability to write, because the 50-page application, I got the first 5 pages done, which is basically, this is my name, this is where I live. I worked on this script. I don't know nobody in Hollywood. Nobody in Hollywood knows me, but I really want to be a writer. And then all the other stuff I couldn't fill it out. So, and I said, but it was like, here's my script. So when they got back and said, "Oh yeah, you got selected," and it was like, "I don't have the money to pay," and they're like, and the head of the 85 was like, "Oh, that's okay, I'll get you, I'll get it, that's okay, you're fine." I was like, dang. So, but if I had to sit there and just tell you what it was, my brain, I had to do so many pitch we were required to do so many pitch sessions as screenwriters, and I failed each and every one of them.
Mm.
And it's like pitching is not a skill I have. I can write, I just can't pitch it.
It's a talent. Trust me, it's a talent.
Yeah, in the world of bing, bang, and boom, I got no boom.
Think
Hey,
about it. Think about it. You have been around me and saw how I pitch Amazonia. I'm constantly working on that. That's not something that's easy. It's a talent.
My brain shuts down, and suddenly I'm a 7-year-old that everybody's laughing at, and and for some reason my brain just will not function. It's like that. And I, like I said, I've done therapy, I've done pitch programs, and then you get up and I'm like, I'm going to get it done this time. I'm going to get it done this time. And then it's like, and the story, and they wrote it, and they really want you to see it. Please give me money. Bye. It's not that, but that's how it to me. That's what my brain says. Yeah, that's how it feels. And so it's like, I have no ability for that.
See, I guess I'm almost a little bit like the opposite. I always feel like 8 Mile. It just won't come out. I know what the pitch is. It's like I'm constantly thinking about that time clock. It's just like, give me that 10-second pitch. It's like I haven't got it down to less than 10 seconds. I know I'm going to lose them. If I start now, I'm probably going to lose them. That's what's in my mind. Then it's like, okay, give me the 30-second pitch. It's like my 30-second pitch can take 45 seconds. It's not something that it can be narrowed down to people's short attention spans. And I refuse to do analogies. I really try to refuse to do analogies.
And especially since when you're pitching in Hollywood, they not only want your pitch, but you're supposed to give them 2 movies. And so, and the movies that inspired And the Coming of Nighttime was the first Howling. And, and I go, oh, what's the Howling? And they're like, which one? The first?
The second one?
It's like the first. And they're like, how far back was that? It's like the one with Dee Wallace Stone. And that's the ones that know Dee Wallace Stone was in the first one. And back then she was Dee Wallace Stone as opposed to just Dee Wallace. Mm-hmm. Or somebody will go, well, okay, see, here's the thing. The Howling was how many decades ago? And it's like, yeah, but I'm that old. It's like, yeah, but I'm trying to get this age. And it's like, yeah, but that's why nowadays when I put stuff up, I just put sci-fi for grown folks. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, I don't write for 12-year-olds.
If you're not ginger snapping with us, we don't want your
but I like it. And the things, I like the ginger snap movies. They are a feminist take on the werewolf mythology. I think they're really well done, especially the 2 girls who play sisters. I think they had great chemistry. I love that first movie.
And Dogs of War is another more recent. I really love that. It's a British war picture, but Dogs of War with werewolves. Yes.
You mean Dog Soldiers?
Dog Soldiers, rather. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That you will laugh. She likes you hit something. You hit something on the nail there as far as what she likes.
Good or bad, though.
Yeah. The Scottish guy, Kid. That was like when the first movie before he went to do the Rome series. That was one of the first movies I'd seen him in. I think that movie got him the attention because the guy who directed that is the same. I think it was Paul W. Anderson or something.
Sounds right. Yeah.
Because he did the first. He also did the first Resident Evil film.
However, Dogs of War with Christopher Walken is also good. So.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what do you Dogs of War? Oh, I know why.
Dog Soldiers is hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, it'll pop up for free, but it doesn't stay very long. I finally decided I'm going to buy This month, I got myself a copy of a documentary called Burlesque, because I like burlesque. It's got more. It's more to it than just
Sure.
taking off your clothes and being naked. Um, and this one covers, it's burlesque, the glitter tribe, and it covers not just the women in burlesque, but it also covers the growing movement of men getting into as burlesque performers, which is really good and fun. Um, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, my hope is, depending on what, because I'm slowly building my desktop. So depending on what I end up buying next month will determine whether or not I can actually buy myself a copy of Dog Soldiers.
Cool.
Kevin McKidd, that's his name, the Scottish guy, Kevin McKidd.
Okay.
Hey, let's pull the plug because I
Yeah,
gotta
that's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
All right. Okay, so I will sign out.
Also, you got to go eat.
Yeah.
Yes, I have not eaten, and I keep taking these gloves on and off because I don't know. Anyway,
And we're not having any Snickers commercials. She's not changing to somebody else.
I want to be Joe Pesci. Anyway, two youths. I gotta have two youths. Sorry. Hi, love you. Thank you for coming. Whether you watch this live, whether you watch us later, we love you. We appreciate you. You make this, what we do worthwhile, because otherwise we're just a bunch of old farts sitting there talking. You can find me here on YouTube, Elaine Haygood. You can find me at Facebook, Elaine Haygood. Yes, I'm thinking about Substack, but I haven't decided quite yet. My website is lenscaponline.com. And my first book, The Enslaved, is already on Amazon. Just type up The Enslaved by Elaine Haygood, and you will find that book. Okay. And the next book, a comic book miniseries, book 1 of And the Coming of Nighttime, will be out by the end of this month, so that you can go and you can read it, and it will be good. Okay. And if somebody says it's not horrible, let me know, because I will sick the wolves on them. Thank you. Bye.
All right. And there's Clyde.
Hey, I'm Clyde Hall, Elder Statesman of Geekery, and my latest addition to the Stormgate Press anthology series, Pulp Reality number 5, just came out a few weeks ago. This is dedicated to the mystery men of the classic pulp era, heroes like the Shadow, Doc Savage. And so all of the characters in here are original characters that are kind of cut from that same pulp cloth, including my new character called the Mannequin. Interior art by, you can see some of it right there. This is Brian Rodman of our show that has done all of the interior artwork, and so it's obviously a great new pulp buy if you're in the market for that. So I write in my spare time. I write short stories mainly for Stormgate Press. Every week I do Comics Beat is an online comic book review crew, and we do at comicbeast.com, we do weekly reviews of comic books. Also, Comics Beat is just a place to go for all of the serious comic journalism about comic books, movies, industry. So check that out at comicsbeat.com. I'm also part of the Comic Book Spectrum review crew here on Thursday nights, 7 o'clock on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. And as far as the Stormgate Press, they do all kinds of new pulp titles, and I have been in many, many of their publications. This includes The Lost Adventures of Captain Hawkland, Volumes 1 and 2, and Tim Bruckner's Major Marjorie, which is a pulp sci-fi, and Spurs and Six Shooters, Tales of the Old West, which of course would be Western pulp fiction. So if you're looking for any stripe of new pulp fiction to get into, you need to go to www.stormgatepress.com and tell them that Clyde sent you. You can also find a lot of these books on my Amazon authors page address right down here. So Comic Book Spectrum is brought to you by one of our Stormgate Press alumni, artist extraordinaire Jeffrey Hayes of Plasmafire Graphics. He is a Pulp Factory award-winning artist several years running, and his covers show why. Also, this from one of my Captain Hawkman stories. He did this for our publication, and it's one of my favorite pieces of art ever based on one of my characters. For your next project, whether it's books or games or other graphic enhanced work, you need somebody who can bring readers to your table, and Jeffrey Hayes is that somebody. And he's, both easy to work with and he's affordable. Those are just bonuses to the talent that he brings. One just wonderful Plasmafire graphics package. Joe is going to tell you how you can get Plasmafire Graphic and Jeffrey Hayes working for you.
That is correct, Clyde. So if you've seen the books that he showed you, let me show you the video that goes along with it to convince you to hire Jeffrey Hayes.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've seen the video. Now give Jeffrey Hayes a quick little message there on plasmafiregraphics.com. Hire him today because he will definitely get people to your table just because of the cover of your book. Now, as far as me, I will be back here on Saturday. Actually, I'll be back here Saturday. The following Saturday, we're having another Whatnot sale. But the good thing about it, as of right now, if you've been following me on my social media, is that we are no longer concentrating on auctions. A lot of our books are now going to be in the buy it now, where you could actually buy it 24/7 off of Whatnot. So if Whatnot is going to be another venue where you could buy stuff directly from my personal collection, comic book wise, as well as the CGC Studio comics that I also produce here. So until Saturday, live life, grow, and be well. And unlike Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you washed your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. We'll catch you right back here on Comic Book Spectrum this upcoming Thursday at 7 p.m. See ya.